Hey guys, welcome back to the wrap up for here. We're going to do examples A, B, C, and D. Once I do those examples, you'll be able to do the practice worksheet, submit that, and you'll be done for the week. So sine of 150 degrees. Now, we already did sine of 30, 45, and 60, right? So how do you find the sine of 150 with everything we just learned? Well, the first thing is we know 150 degrees is an obtuse angle, but we need to find a reference angle, which is an acute angle, right? It's going to be one of these angles. Now, 150 degrees is not in quadrant 1 because it's beyond 0 to 90. We can tell it's between 90 and 180, right? Makes sense. 150 is between 90 and 180. So we know we're in quadrant 2. The angle would start here and end up in quadrant 2. We need to find this angle if we're going this way to 150. So think about half a circle. That's 180, right? And I'm only getting up to 150. So how much more do I need to go? So here's 0 to 150. I need to go 0 to 150 and figure out how much that extra little chunk is so I can figure out that angle, because that's what forms this triangle. So all I have to do is subtract from 180. So 180 minus 150 is 30 degrees. So this is actually the same thing as the sine of 30 degrees. So this is the work I want you to show me. The other thing is, notice we're in quadrant 2, right? Quadrant 2, 90 to 180, and right? So even though we're saying it's a sine of 30, I want to make sure that when I'm in that quadrant, I understand what sine I'm going to be, because this triangle here and this triangle here, they're the same triangle. The only difference is this part is negative and this part's positive, right? So this blue part is the cosine, and we're looking for sine. So notice both the vertical, the opposite sides of the opposite over the hypotenuse, the opposite over the hypotenuse. The opposite over hypotenuse of the quadrant 1 triangle is the same thing as this one. So that means they're both positive. So the sine of 30, I can look up. It's 1/2. So that's my answer. That equals 1/2. And that's it. But I want you to be able to show me that sine of 150 is equal to sine of 30 is equal to half. Okay, that's the work that you need to show. Cosine 315 degrees is in quadrant 4, right? Because it's beyond 270. So in this case, we're almost at a full, 315 would be somewhere stopping over there, right? We're almost at a full circle. So I want that reference angle because I'm going to be using this reference triangle. So if I go to 315, how much more do I need to go to get to 360? Because that little extra piece is this angle here. So all I have to do is subtract from 360 and I get cosine 45. And again, in cosine 315 degrees, I know that in quadrant 4, cosine is positive because, again, if you think about it, this is the triangle that I was working with originally when I didn't have to worry about anything being positive or negative. Well, if I'm looking at the cosine, it's this blue part here, and it's positive for the quadrant 1 triangle, and it's also positive for the quadrant 4 triangle, which means I could just stick with the positive cosine 45. And so I look up, cosine 45 is root 2 over 2. So I know my answer is root 2 over 2. Really easy. Now let's get to tangent 120. Tangent 120, 120 degrees, is in quadrant 2, right? Between 90 and 180. So I'm over here. I know I have to subtract from 180 because we just did that with example A. So 120 minus 180, or the difference between 120 and 180, is 60 degrees. So I know that this is the same thing as the tangent of 60. However, there is a difference here because based off of our rules, quadrant 2, only sine is positive in quadrant 2, right? Cosine's negative and tangent is opposite over adjacent, which means that, well, tangent is going to be negative. The only function that is positive from trig of these three is going to be sine. That's why it says all-star trig class. The star stands for sine. Okay, actually, I might have forgotten to mention that all stands for all, star stands for sine, t stands for tangent, and class stands for cosine. All of them are positive. Sine is positive in quadrant 2, tangent's positive in quadrant 3, and only cosine's positive in quadrant 4. Sorry about that. Hopefully that makes more sense now if you watch the last video and wondering why I said all-star trig class. Anyway, because I'm in quadrant 2 and only sine is positive, that means this is going to be negative tangent 60 because it's not sine. Okay, only sine stays positive. So what's the tangent of 60 degrees? Again, you look up. That's root 3. But our answer is going to be negative root 3 because it's negative tangent 60. All right, last one and we're done. 240 degrees gets you into quadrant 3, right? So I'm looking for this angle. So notice that's closer to the 180 degree line. So we're going to subtract with 180. And so 240 minus 180 is 60. So this is the sine of 60 degrees. However, again, we're in quadrant 3 and only tangent is positive there. So this is going to be negative sine of 60. If we go to sine of 60, that's root 3 over 2, but it's going to be negative root 3 over 2. Okay? So, like I said, the reason why you're subtracting from 180 or 360 is because you're really trying to get the angles for these triangles that are not in quadrant 1. And once you get that, you basically have the triangle flipped into, whatever position it's in, and you just have to keep track of what's positive or what's negative in each quadrant. All right. Please, on your worksheets, make sure to show this intermediate step. Make sure to include the signs. I'll spot check them, and once you upload it, I will check if you got things right or wrong. And if you got something wrong, I'll just ask you to correct it, and it'll be very quick like that. All right. Take care, guys. Stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.